Hello. Welcome, everybody, to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya, along with my glorious, beautiful, talented, extravagant, lush, hot, tete loving. I don't, I don't know. Uh,
I knew the camera wasn't on me. I hoped. Can you imagine if, because sometimes Zoom, even if you're not talking, it sees you do something and it's like, oh, that looks interesting, and the camera goes on you. Hopefully, it didn't think that because I was
just popped on
inappropriately
you.
gesturing my boobies at Angela.
Listen, yeah, she is. She was doing inappropriate things, and I got distracted.
I'm too comfortable with you. I'm losing my shame, you know?
No, please continue to lose it. Continue.
Sometimes a bit of shame is good, you know, like.
Yeah, maybe a little, but not here. This is a safe space. This is a non-shame place. But welcome, Melanie. Melanie Schubert. How are you?
I'm good. I want to know more about how you are because I have seen, speaking of no shame,
Yeah.
I have seen things that my eyes have delighted in. I feel like you channeled your deep inner emu and
I
went
did.
ham, as you would say. And I fucking lived, my friend, to see you dance and twerk. And, Bookstagram needs you. I don't think you even know how much Bookstagram needs you. Like that part is serious.
They do. They need me. They need me. Yeah. This past weekend I was at Love Y'all Book Fest in Decatur, Georgia. I don't know what happened. It was all a blur. It was all a wild, wild blur. Yeah, it was a good time. I'll just break it down by day. Let me break it down by day.
Yes.
Friday I took off at 4 a.m. Well, no, I mean I left my
Sorry.
house.
I'm sorry for laughing. When you said Friday I took off, I just remembered I've just been editing Airpeen all day
Yeah.
yesterday. So me picturing you on a flight is doing no favors to anything right
Yeah.
now.
Oh
How
no,
was
it didn't
that?
do me any flavors. It did not, or favors. It didn't do me any good. I was on that flight like I was just like, good thing I'm not in first class, or is it? I guess it's a travesty, really.
But did you have
It's terrible.
rosé? But did you have rosé?
No,
And did the flight
unfortunately.
attendant jiggle her titties at you?
Didn't happen. Unfortunately, didn't
Damn,
happen.
wrong
I
flight. You
know.
weren't on sentient air.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was just on good old Delta. Um,
Probably for the best.
I
I think if Matthew McConaughey emerged from the seat behind you, you probably would have fainted.
I probably would have punched him. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
punched him in his leathery face.
Yes. I 100% would have
And
punched
that's
him in his
no
leathery
shade on
face.
Matthew, by the way. That's a pun from
No.
our last episode. I would never refer to someone as having a leathery face unless they were a
Yes, no.
sentient chair, which is the
Yes,
case.
yes. You'll have to refer to our airpine episode to understand fully. Um, Gosh, Airpine has followed me around. I'm not gonna lie. She has been with me all last weekend.
Oh,
So okay, so let me go back to Friday. I
sorry.
landed. I made it, and then I immediately from the airport I went to one of the author experiences, which is a tour in a really old, beautiful cemetery
Oh my gosh,
where
it looked amazing.
it was so cool, and the
Yeah.
host was amazing, and she was telling us these kind of like salacious was the word she would use, like love stories about the people that were buried there.
Aw.
So it was really cool, and Jessica Para, our queen, our grandfather of the show, was there. Um, I gotta tell you, she kills me because I get there and she had already been on a tour that morning for the a Muppet, she had been on a Muppet tour.
Yeah.
I don't, she'd been on a tour for puppets or Muppets or all of the above. And then she joined us there, and then she was leaving. She was going to on another tour. So the girl goes.
She
She
goes, and
moved.
now she's in London directly
Yes.
after that all.
Yes, she left right from
Mm,
the festival straight to London to
wow.
find, fingers crossed, her next love of affair.
Yeah.
Um,
Manifesting
so
that.
yes, so that was honestly really, really fun, but it felt so short because I did get there late because I came off my Delta Airlines. Um, that night, boom, I went to sleep. I was exhausted. The next day we begin our wonderful event.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. I think my first event was to sign books. So I signed for an hour and then I did my a young adult panel, which was great.
Yeah.
But then I did a romanticy panel. And in that panel, because this is a romance book festival, like it's so like freeing because you're getting romance readers that read an adult and young adult. And so, they run the gambit and they are ready to hear whatever you have to say. Like you could say whatever really you want to say
That's
in
so
there.
liberating.
Yeah, it was fun because Tobias Madden, who we love, who
Yeah.
was one of our like OG guests back in the day,
Yeah.
like he and I were talking and it is a big difference going from like a young adult book festivals or like library festivals
Mm,
to these adult or not adult, but romance festivals.
yeah.
It's a very different vibe and it's so fun. They're all fun, but like
Yeah, yeah.
the romance readers are just like nothing else. They're fun. And
Yeah.
so I had mentioned, I think they had asked what I was reading, and I mentioned on the panel that I had just finished Airpeen, and the whole room went quiet, like and then the people like on my panel looked at me and they said, "You're reading what?" And so I had to explain on the panel what I was reading. And so Airpeen like literally followed me at everything. Like the next panel I was on the next day, somebody was asking about it. Like every single thing I was on after that, that's what we were talking about. So if I kid you not, I guarantee you I gave that author a good boost in sales that weekend
We should
because I
try
was
get her on. She seems really cool. I looked her up the other day. She looks really cool. Like her whole
okay.
vibe. I'm really into it. So we should try get her on. Like you're
Yes.
doing the work out there, spreading the airpeen gospel. I think the funny thing is, like I've got blue hair and whatever. Like I'm Australian. I think people would be not so surprised if I started talking about airpeen. But you're quite unassuming. So they probably heard you say airpeen and they're like, and the title flags something in your brain. You're like, what? And then you're like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm just my brain's in the gutter. And then you're like, sorry, can you expand on that? And you're like, yes, it's a sentient aircraft porn book. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's everything you think it is and more. It's
then
you would never think this much.
yes, I love it.
Yes.
I love that you
Yes.
educated
So
the masses on airpeen.
I did. Okay. And then what was hilarious was Saturday night, or I guess it would be Sunday morning, but like about like 4 in the morning, I woke up because
Yeah.
it was such like a crazy storm outside. Like it looked
Really?
like a waterfall was hitting the windows. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And I went to look out and I saw this like lightning was striking.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
all of a sudden, the tornado sirens started going off outside. And so it was my first experience because we don't really have those here that I mean they've happened, but nothing like a real tornado. But anyway, so the sirens are very eerie, especially like in the middle of this
Mm.
huge storm. And so it's just like ooh, it was like whirling like
Oh
that
yeah.
sound. And so I was like, I'm not sure what I do in this situation.
Yeah. What did you
Um,
do?
well, honestly, like I knew that like we were in a city, so I didn't imagine it would really touch down. But I also knew I was like right by the windows, and so I was like, well, I'm just gonna see if like I'm gonna look outside my door and see if anybody else is caring, like if
Yeah,
this is like
good,
a
good,
real
good.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
not a local, I don't know. And so as soon as I opened like the little peephole, I saw people going downstairs and I
Oh,
thought,
shit
oh,
balls.
okay. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what we do here.
Yeah.
And so we went downstairs and there was like like a handful of people sitting in the lobby. Some were like taking shelter in the bathroom. Some people stayed in their rooms. Some people didn't even wake up. Some people had
Mm.
no idea. But
Wow.
so I was sitting in the lobby and at this time, it's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like dead. I'm like dead on my heels, just like, oh my gosh, I just want to go back to sleep.
Mm.
Um, and then I hear someone say, I just bought Airpine. So I
In the
turned and I
middle
said,
of a
you did?
tornado.
Yes. And so I turned, I was like, you bought Airpine. And one of the people at the panel was like, I had to. And so she was telling me that in their hotel room, all of these, they all got together and like chatted about Airpine.
After
And
you
so,
mentioned it.
yes.
So
And so that's what I'm
cool.
telling you. It was everywhere. She
Oh
was
my
out there.
gosh.
Yeah.
Were you
So.
afraid during the tornado?
Honestly, I not really because I didn't
Yeah.
really think it would and some of the people that were like if not locals but or lived in areas where tornadoes were like they were telling me like you will know. Like you hear it
Oh
and
yeah.
you feel it in the air pressure or
Oh my
something.
God.
So I
Yeah.
was like, okay. Well, I was distracted. I was talking about airplane anyway. So
It's
at
probably
that
for the
point,
best.
yeah. So,
That's
but
so cool.
yes, it's so funny. And then that morning, so we got woken up to the tornado warning at like around 5. I get
Damn.
back into my hotel room once the sirens go stop. And I tried to sleep for a little bit, but
Mm.
I had a panel that morning at 9 a.m.
Mm.
So, and 9 a.m. over there is actually my 6 a.m.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I could see it in all of the pictures that my eyes were like dead.
Mm.
Um, I was dead on my feet. And
Oh,
that
shit.
was the panel that we danced on.
Oh my gosh. And you
Yes.
know what? Sometimes that sleep deprived energy can weirdly, like one night of sleep deprivation can weirdly give you that almost tipsy feeling and make you feel a bit more
Yes.
free because you're so like, I don't know if it's like that for you, but it looks like you
Yeah.
had fun on that one. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
known you hadn't like had sleep or anything.
Oh my gosh. I was like that, honestly, that panel I was fine, but I did feel myself petering out towards the end
Oh
because
yeah.
it's kind of a stressful panel. It was called it was the Battle of the Tropes. And so like in that one you actually Susan Lee and TJ who we both had on the
Yeah.
podcast and it was us three against Tobias, Jill two, and then another author who was absolutely hilarious, but I can't remember her name. But I guess everybody but that author has been on our podcast. I didn't even
Mhm.
think about it.
I love
Um,
that.
I know. And so it was the two groups, and we had to
Yeah.
battle uh, against each other and like try to convince the crowd to be on our side and cheer for us. And so, like, say your argument was like Grumpy Sunshine, and their argument was Love Triangle. And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
one of us had to stand and try to like convince the audience which one was better.
Whoa, that
And
is
then
a
it was
stressful.
stressful.
Yeah.
It was very stressful. And one of Tobias's questions, or wait, well, no, okay, let me go back. So if you lost, you had to then choose truth or dare. And and then the host would give you a truth or dare. And so we lost one. And so that was the dancing was our dare, was to get up and dance
Um,
while Susan sang. Um, one of
That's
yeah,
glorious.
yes. And one of Tobias's ones, he chose truth, or no, he chose dare, I think. And his dare was to explain the premise of airpeen. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. So that was at 9 a.m. And then I had another panel, which was really fun. It was great. And then my final signing, but I was like dead on my feet by the end of that one. I was like, get me to the airport. I kept thinking like, oh, I can't wait to get to the airport. I'm going to put my hat on. I won't have to talk to anybody. Like, I'll be silent. And then as soon as I sit in the airport, this very kind gentleman, like an army vet kind of a guy, sits next to me and he was like, "So, what are you up to, kid?" And he was just like, he told me his whole life
No.
story, you know.
Angela, you did
I
that
was
last
like,
time with the taxi driver. You have to learn to
yes.
like, it's okay to not engage every person who feels like telling you their life story. I
Oh
say this as
man.
somebody who used to do it with every fucking person who smiled at me. And I used to give my energy to everyone, eh? Like I felt like I had to. Like I felt like it was, I don't know. I just had this strong people pleaser urge to just like somehow make everyone's day. But like you have to like protect your energy unless like you probably could barely breathe by that point. You're gonna like that's when you wind up like feeling super anxious and just super burnt out because you don't actually have the bandwidth to now hear this person's life story, you know?
I did
Sorry,
not.
sorry, I'm not
I did
meaning to
not.
mother you.
But it's true. I did not. And so eventually I was like, okay, how can I get out of this? Because
Yeah, good.
he talked for a solid hour. So then I was like, oh, I gotta go find a charger for my phone. And he was like, oh, it's this way. And I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then I'll get the charge. Like I just kept
Good
lying. I
girl.
lied. But then he was very sweet. When I saw it when we were boarding the plane, he like grabbed me. He was like, thanks for listening to an old man, you know, and I was like, you're welcome. Like, I didn't know what to say to
Listen,
that.
I'm not saying not to do it sometimes, and sometimes the spirit moves you, but like it's also okay to say no sometimes and just you can also be authentic with the stranger. You can just be like, "Oh, I've had such a massive event and I'm so exhausted.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm probably just gonna like shut my
Yeah.
eyes
Well,
and
let
be
me tell you something
quiet."
else, Melanie. Let me
What?
tell you something else. When I landed, I had a driver waiting for me.
No.
Yes, and I got in there and I said to her, I said, Dawn, I've had such a long day. I am so, so tired. Like, I cannot wait to just like sit here, like sit and be quiet. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then she goes off into her entire
No.
work history, her boyfriend, he works at and I was like, Dawn. And I said, I'm just really looking forward to getting home and, having a drink. And she said, oh, we can go get shots right now. And I said, no, I,
I hate
no,
people
thank
like
you.
that. I hate people. I'm sorry, but I hate people like that who like, I don't know if it's that they can't read the room or they specifically choose to ignore your verbalized needs over theirs. I used to keep being friendly to people like that out of like some sense of duty of being a good person. But lately I get mad about like internally and I will allow myself to shut down and give very curt answers because you've now verbalized your need and they've gone and ignored it completely. And and like what? She's like living some fantasy. She met a famous author and now she wants to take you out for drinks. Like, but that's selfish. You've just told her you're fucking
Yes.
knackered and you're just looking forward to being quiet. So I don't have the time for people like that anymore. I'm sorry, but like actually I'm not sorry because it's cruel. Because you're like struggling to keep your eyes open and now she's going to vent at you her whole life story. Like choose the
Yes.
next passenger might be like just waiting to talk to you, you know? Sometimes it's just I really don't like when people do that.
Yeah. I don't know why people thought I do not look friendly. I don't know what the hell was happening
But
that day, but
your energy is beautiful even when you're like just the fact you still suffered these two lives. And I know I sound terrible, but like and I definitely have those days where like I'll make space for the total stranger on the street and we'll just have a good chat and off you go on your merry way. I've just learnt the very, very hard way that like some people are just like they'll like eat up whatever you'll give them. And the
Mhm.
reality is, I've had to learn to wear fuck off on my face sometimes because I've got such an open face. That actually happened to me all the time before. All the time. Everywhere I went, I would like, this person would sit down and tell me their life story. And this person, especially where I've moved now, there's a lot of like older retired people. And like, if I go out and take Goose on a walk, if I got stopped by every single one I know, I would never get anything done because they have a lot of time. Like, and some days it's fine. Some days you only see one and you have a yarn. But I actually had to become better at being like, so nice to see you, better run. Because you don't, it's not your job to every day make space for that, you know? Because otherwise, like, how
Yeah.
did you feel after that? Ruined.
Absolutely, completely ruined. I was like,
Um,
yesterday I didn't do a single thing. I laid like in my room all freaking day and like read and just like scrolled on
good.
social media, tried to nap. Yeah. I think the tornado really threw me off though.
Yeah. Actually, listen, we live and we learn. I know how hard it is. Like, it feels like a physical bind to like have to just continue to do it. And I used to do it all the time. But even like last night, we had this event for lovely Lisa, who we've had on the
Yes.
pod, and I love her
And
book.
you looked hot.
Thank you. I tried. I actually
Yes.
cut that skirt up right before I went. It wasn't like that before. And then I was like,
Oh,
I don't, I prefer like a kind of torn denim look. I was just like, I really haven't fallen in love with this skirt. So I just cut all those things in it and then like, what do you call it? Tortured denim?
wow.
What do you call it when you like, oh, it's my mind's gone blank when the denim's
I
like
like tortured denim. I like that.
tortured
I like that.
denim. The word will come to me later and I'll be like, dang it. But I was actually so exhausted. Like I just finished my period. Usually I wouldn't go to stuff, but I love Lisa. And I was like, and then I was like to Katya, if you go, I'll go. And like but I wanted to show up for Lisa as well because she always shows up for local authors. And I really love her book, Prince of Fortune. I really think it's like quite a special I feel like over time is going to be such a beloved YA. And anyway, so Katya was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go, but just for a little." And I was like, so we went, we took a couple photos, or Katya took photos. I completely blanked out because I was tired and I was in that space where I wouldn't usually go to shit. But I was like, I'd rather show up, show my face, show my support. And then, yeah, it's like really empowering having friends who are just like Katya actually left before me. She was like, okay, she's like, I'm done, I've got to go. And I was just like, wow, like, what if we just all did that, like honored like our limitations? And I left shortly after because I was just like, I didn't actually have the bandwidth to talk to people last night. I was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
well, I hugged everyone that I loved and we like talked very briefly, but I did not have the bandwidth to just stand around and make small talk or like engage afterwards. So I was like, well, I'm also going to give myself permission to just go. But hopefully, like, I feel like in our community, hopefully they can see like the effort that you showed up for them, you know, and it doesn't always have to be to like the same level or something.
Yeah. I love that. It's funny that when we were in the green room, the authors at the book con,
Mm.
and we were even saying how nice it would be to have like a quiet room, like a quiet zone where
Yes.
everybody knew like this is where the introverts go
Yeah.
to hide.
Yeah.
Because especially on Sunday, because a lot of us had to check out our stuff, and so we couldn't go back up to our rooms. And so to
No.
have that like designated no talk, eyes closed, whatever you want to do zone, I think is so important because it's true. It's like sometimes you just do not have the spoons and
That's
you
it.
do want to show up, but you just don't have it in you to stay long.
Yeah, that like you reach a point where you have already used the reserve spoons and your brain just start like if you're anything like me, your brain just starts to shut down at a point and you can't
Yes.
smile anymore and you're just not properly engaging. And I hate being in that space when I'm like at an event. Like I want to engage, I want to talk to people. So if I'm feeling like I'm about to go like nonverbal, you know, like I will often like before I go to an event, I rarely do something beforehand. I rarely like meet up with people. Like I'll often, if I'm early, I'll go to a bar and have a quiet drink alone in a corner. But that's
Yes,
my
yes.
self-care. That helps me be able to do the event. I'm so on board with your idea of like us a room where people can just like chill, have a quiet moment to like breathe, collect themselves, and like I just think the more we talk about it and realize that like we don't have to like let's just all collectively stop like suffering through and make space for each other because the more we do that, the more like you can give quality over quantity. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. 100 billion%. But yeah, I do really and truly love going to these events and doing these things because
Mm.
it is so fun to meet other authors who are just so cool. Just every author is
Yeah.
just so cool in their own way. And then the readers too are just like, I was the best time. I mean, I have a bracelet that a reader made for me for Sinner's Isle.
Oh,
And
it's
so,
so
it's like
cute.
those, isn't it cute? It's
It's
just
really
perfect.
cute.
And so it's like you have all these moments that are just so special, but
Mm.
at the same time, it is hard to socialize for long amounts of time. So
What do
yeah,
you
I
think,
love
out of
these things.
curiosity, what do you think like in those moments, like say when that guy stopped you at the airport or when the taxi woman um like kind of bombarded you with her life story? What do you think makes you feel like you have to be a witness to that moment out of curiosity?
Mm. I guess, yeah, I suppose it's the people pleasing whatever that is in me that's just like, okay, like I don't
Hmm.
and I to be honest, a lot of times I don't even talk that much back. I just uh-huh. Oh, wow. And then they just keep going. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel like it's just like not wanting to be rude, not wanting to, make anybody feel bad, and just, I guess it's easier to sacrifice yourself, your own like comfort, and let other people
Except it's not,
feel
is it?
comfortable. Yeah.
Who's
No,
it
it's not. It's not.
who's it easier for is my question to you. Who's it easier for? Because you said it's easier to
Yeah.
sacrifice yourself, but for who is it easier? For them? For
I
these
think so. Yeah.
people you're
I
never going to see again who haven't
yes.
taken into consideration that you look like fucking you just been through a tornado and haven't slept all night. You've
Yeah.
and again, even with the other gentleman, I can almost guarantee you get just if I started talking to you, like if I saw your energy and like we had a connection at an airport and I was like chatting to you, you can tell there's verbal cues that somebody actually isn't in the mood to talk, even if you didn't verbalize it to that gentleman. And you were just kind of like, oh yeah, I've just had this big event. I'm sure you said you're pretty knackered. I'm sure it came out of your
Yes.
mouth at some point. But at that point, somebody's making the selfish decision to choose their need to vent their life story to you for whatever reason it is. And that's when they start to lose me. In fact, you might find your energy would shift if they were like, "Oh, you look like you're exhausted, my friend. Enjoy your flight." You might find your
Yes.
energy would shift and suddenly it wouldn't feel taxing if somebody was so sensitive to your needs. But yeah, I've just learned the hard way that um, there's certain types of people and they will prioritize their urge to express and take that moment for themselves and they're in their own narrative over actually seeing the human in front of them. And I do not abide by such energy anymore. I don't give my energy
Yeah.
freely to people like that anymore. It's very limited because there's no end to it. People like that will just like they'll suck you dry because you didn't have anything to give and they still took. So I'm not about that
Yes.
energy. And anyway, sorry, I guess I focused in
I
on
love
these
that.
things because I've been on this journey myself and I'm maybe just like verbally processing constantly to like allow myself to do this because I also feel that extreme guilt of like, oh gosh, I remember this lady Barbara that I made friends with her on the tram, and she was fabulous. Like she had all these amazing stories of like she'd like back in her day she'd gone to parties with like Frank Sinatra and such. And it was like really fabulous to listen to her stories and like very at the start I really enjoyed hearing her stories and stuff and I didn't clock it for what it was. So we started to connect and we'd go out for coffee sometimes and whatever. I had just suffered a extreme nervous breakdown when I met her. So every
Mm.
interaction I had with her cost me so much. But I was like, oh, it's this lovely lady and like I actually enjoy her stories and whatever. And like I didn't realize until one day and I met her for coffee and like I was literally like back then I was having panic attacks nonstop. So to choose to
Wow.
meet someone was such a cost. And I had such limited time that I could function in that space. And I decided I would meet her out in a cafe, which was, oh my God, cafes back then were the most overstimulating thing for me because all the voices of everyone talking, all the noise, all the like social anxiety would just crush down on me. But I was like, no,
Yeah.
like I'll try with this friend. Hope I was like, and I'll try verbalize my needs and like it'll be an experiment. Bitch, like she that day I learned that the price of pushing through that feeling if somebody isn't giving you that energy back. Because we sat down and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. Oh my God, I'm so brave. And she just like kind of talked at me a lot. And that's what I don't, when I was younger, because it was years and years ago, I didn't realize that's what was happening. I was a willing prisoner. She would just talk at.
Mm.
I see that now. And at a point I was like, well, I was like, honestly, like I'm so tired. Like I had kind of been honest with her about like that I like was having like anxiety stuff that I was working through. I was like, yeah, I was like, honestly, like my nervous system's just wired today. I think I better go. And she was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, look at you, you did the thing, you verbalized your needs. Then she spotted someone across the cafe. She's like, oh, hi, such and such. And she brought them over. And she's like,
You're like,
oh, this is
no.
yeah. And I had just verbalized I need to go. And she was
Yeah.
like, oh, and she's chatting to them like, oh, she's like had such a fabulous accent. And then she's like, oh, she's like, this is my friend Melanie. She lives with anxiety disorder. She's like, I used to work with the mentally disabled. She's or something, she said. Yeah, she's saying this to like this guy, some fucking fancy prick that she knew from some bit. They were all very like affluent society, right? And I was just like, wow, I told you, like, first of all, the way she spoke about it made me so mad. I was like,
Yeah, it
I'm
was like
not some
demeaning to you.
demeaning to the entire mental health system. Second of
Yeah.
all, I've just told you I have to go. And you've ignored it and brought people over to use me as fodder for your gossip. So a couple times I was still being nice. I was like, well, I better go, I better go. But after she said that, I was just like, I'm out. And I actually just, that was it. I was like, like, I'm not gonna let people like that abuse my good nature. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Especially like that. Especially when it's like becomes almost like a joke to them in a way, where they use it to benefit themselves. I don't know. Yeah. I could see why you would be like, peace out, bitch. I'm
Yeah,
out.
I was. I was like, I'm so done.
And rightly freaking so. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, we don't need that. We
We
don't need
don't
that in our
need
lives.
that. So, yeah, maybe like ask yourself, how does it feel in your body, is what I've started to ask myself. Because actually, your body is very good at telling you what, if you listen, your body is super good at telling you like what you can manage. And there's like a moment like where your energy like shrivels towards someone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're
Yes.
feeling that and you're already exhausted and you keep pushing through, that's when you like suffer. That's when you start to suffer. But sometimes it's different. Sometimes your energy opens up and you're like, oh, actually, talking to this person is making me feel great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Never with
anyway,
me. I never enjoy talking to strangers.
I think I enjoy it sometimes because I'm like, I never have to see them again. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I kind of like those little moments sometimes, but yeah, not when the energy is like sucking anymore. I'm just like,
Yeah.
no. Well, what was the best
Mm.
part for you, minus the airpeen?
The airplane was the highlight. I had a great I thought it was so fun that it became this thing that
Oh
people were
no, I
talking about.
know. I know it was
Yeah,
your
I loved
highlight. I
it.
was
It
saying
was my highlight.
airpeen aside.
Oh, yeah. Oh, airplane aside. Honestly, there was all these like little moments where like one night, the second night, I had gone to dinner with like our publishing team, and that was really nice, just chatting with like other authors like intimately at a dinner. But afterwards we went back to the hotel and I had drinks with Tobias and Para, my friend Kiara, and then another author, and just chatted mostly about Australia. We asked Tobias many a question. Um, just Jessica Para had lots to say about Australia, and so and then it just led into so many conversations, and I really enjoyed those sort of moments. I love Tobias so freaking
Yeah.
much. He is a gem of a human.
Yeah.
Obviously love Jessica Parr. She brought me salad. That was so good because she
Oh,
knew I would be
bless.
hungry. Yeah, we would just be like, we're like ships in the night. Like we were just crossing.
Mm,
Didn't see her nearly as much as I would have liked to, but you're just so busy at those things. And that bitch was out and about anyway. Like she
yeah.
had things to do. So, but yeah, it was all those little moments of just hanging out and getting
Yeah.
like some good time with authors and readers. It was so freaking fun. Yeah.
That's so
So
precious, those moments where you like properly. Oh man, I love when the energy and the vibes are so good in a group of people, and you just like the
yeah.
conversation just flows, and you can be quiet a bit, and then you can add your 2 cents and bounce off each other. Obviously, the Australian in the room was making all the vibes really good. Yay, Tobias. We have to get him back on. What a legend.
Yeah, we will. Honestly, I just adore him. I'm just like obsessed with Tobias.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a fun time. So it was good. It was blast. But I see we have 3 minutes
I
left and we
know.
better do
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, you'll hear it here first, folks. We're gonna have to do a naughty book club too. I think at least once a month, maybe read a
I
little,
reckon. I'd be
I
happy to
reckon.
commit to once. Did you say read a little erect?
I have no idea. I probably did. You never know.
I just heard read a little erect. I was like, yes.
She said automatically yes.
I'm so
Period.
here for that. Those
Yeah.
books are so short and lovely. Do you want me to read the bio? I've got it here.
Sure.
You got it.
Yeah.
So today we have on the amazing Catherine Bakewell, who writes fairy tales for anyone with big feelings, so like lots of us. Um,
Yeah.
she currently lives in St. Louis, St. Louis,
Yeah. Either one's fine.
but she misses her time in Spain and in France, where she romped through gardens, ate pastries, and worked on her novels. She's represented by Jordan Hamessley at JABberwocky Literary Agency. Her debut middle grade, We Are the Song, and her debut YA Fantasy Flowerheart are available now.
Yes. And so is where the shadows bloom too. I believe
Ah,
that's what it's called. Yeah. Wait, where is it? Where shadows bloom. Yes, it is officially out as well. So
yay. And she's a
you
legend.
need to have it. Super
Good
legend, super
work getting her
awesome.
on. Sorry for going on my anti-people pleaser soapbox.
No, I think it's something we all could stand to like take in and actually put into good use, especially when you're at the airport or driving in a car and you're exhausted. You can
Yeah,
say, please stop talking to me.
that's all I'm saying. Like, I'll never forget somebody once told me something and it stuck in my brain. They said naturally giving people attract naturally taking people. And like,
Mm.
I think if you look at it like that, sometimes it might help you like have that permission to just disengage sometimes because it's not somebody who's like you, because I think we're good at putting ourselves in other people's shoes and being like, if I just was having this moment and I'd want someone to be there, whatever. But sometimes those people are going to do that to every person they encounter, you know? And if you have the bandwidth for it, that's awesome, you know, give that energy. But at the end of like a busy event where you were the guest author, it's okay to be the celebrity for a bit and just be like, please, no cameras.
Yeah, yeah.
No
Yeah.
questions. Let them hate you. Let them think what a bitch. Let them think what a snob. Who the fuck cares? You're never going to see them again. You know, give yourself permission to look like a bad guy to them. If that's what you're thinking, that they're going to see me as this like uptight snob, whatever, let them. Just protect your energy because there's only one you. And anyway, sorry, I'm soapboxing again.
Okay,
Hi.
that was fun. Hello. Hello.
Hi,
How the hell are you, Catherine?
hanging in there.
Well, good. Well, thank you for joining us. Honestly, I've been wanting to have you on since Flower Heart.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'm glad we had the time. I'm glad you made the time. I'm glad we're all together, looking great, awake and alive.
Melanie, what time is it where you are?
It is 9 a.m., but I have
Okay.
coffee. And you know what? 9
Okay.
a.m. is actually it's pretty decent. We have recorded once at like, I want to say 6 or 5, and I was a little bit rusty that day.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, I have some Australia questions.
Absolutely. I will answer them with my street smarts. I'm so
Okay,
ready.
so okay, how common are kookaburras?
Girl, I just saw a kookaburra yesterday. I said
That's
kookaburra because
amazing.
you said kookaburra,
I'm
kookaburra.
sorry. I don't know how to say it.
I just heard
That's
myself immediately
crazy.
mimic the way you said it because I love it. Also, my friend Jess Paris says emu instead of emu. Yeah, I saw one yesterday on my
Oh.
walk. Like even in the city, they'll come and like we've got this song about the kookaburra sitting on the electric wire.
I know that
You know that one?
one.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a like regular sight. Even I live basically in the city and we see them all the time. They'll come and sit on they're not as common
Wow.
as like, those kind of like pigeons or something, like the kind of viral birds.
Yes. Yes.
But
That's very cool.
Viral birds, yeah. Mm.
Follow-up question. How do you guys feel about Bluey? Are you proud of your girl?
listen, I have to confess to you that being like, I don't have kids, so I haven't been part of the Bluey wave that swept the
I don't
nation.
have kids.
But
I'm just a big fan.
I haven't tuned in, is what I'm trying to say.
She'd make you proud. She's wonderful.
No, I hear
Big
amazing
fan.
things. I'm like, parallel proud, because everybody's so
Yes.
excited about it. I'm excited even though I haven't seen it. I hope that
Yes.
question doesn't make people mad.
No.
I love
No.
Bluey. I love
She's great. It's a great show. It's cute. She's taught us about like bin chickens and things.
I love bin
We
chickens.
we know your culture now.
Part of the culture now.
Yes.
Yes. Bin chickens are the unsung hero. They're also like surprisingly, you'll see them even in the city as well. I find them quite like hilarious, elegant. They give a lot.
What
Yay.
are what are bin chickens? I'm not in the bluey mix either.
Oh.
It's like a
Is it a
stork. Like it's quite a fabulous bird, but it's
oh,
developed to be like it comes into the burbs and the city as well and will literally like take shit out of the bin. You just see them everywhere. I guess that's how they got the name bin chicken because chooks will get into anything. And so will a
yeah.
bin chicken. It's not like, the other birds, like some of our native birds, they're like don't give me your city shit, like they'll go to the country. But the bin chicken's like girl, give me that hamburger, you know?
Yes.
Was that
They
your
are
Australia
good.
questions? All of them?
Yeah, I think we've covered it. I think that's so okay. Last one. I heard about the urban legend of the drop bear. Is that like
Mm.
an actual like meme in your world?
That's not a meme, that's facts. That,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, that's
Angela,
facts.
do you know about the drop bear?
I don't think so, but I need to. What
It's,
is it?
Take it away, Melanie.
yeah, it's, like we have so many deadly animals, and the drop bear is one of them.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
it's a
So if you
bear?
go too deep into the bush, they're kind of like dark koalas, you know? They'll just like drop down from the trees and they'll like ravage your head. They like have rabies and shit.
The drop bears.
Wait, are they actually koalas that have just gone bad? Like,
Some
are they
people
evil
say they
koalas?
might be koalas that had, because when koalas eat gum leaves, they get high sometimes from too much. So some
Oh.
people do like guess that drop bears may be dark koalas.
Wait, how do you guys not know this? Like, I feel like this is something you should know. Like, how do you guys not like, well, possibly that's where they are. Like, how do you not like, you haven't,
Well,
we don't
it's
know
the
this for
kind of thing
fact?
that hasn't happened. It's like the Tasmanian tiger, you know? It went extinct, but a
No.
lot of people have seen it, you know?
Oh, okay. So it's like a mythical thing or
No, but
no?
drop bears are much more real. Like it's happened to more people. They just, they just haven't got like
You should be doing research on this. If a koala bear goes dark, If a koala bear goes rogue, you should be researching this. You should be in the gum trees
Oh.
climbing to figure out what happened. You know what I mean? I feel like a possessed koala is something we should research.
Absolutely.
You should Google image search, Angela. I
Yes.
really recommend it.
I really recommend you Google it too, Angela.
Oh, I'm going
Please.
down the hole when
Go
I
down
get
the
off of
hole,
this
baby.
podcast.
This one's holding a gun in the picture I'm looking at.
They hold guns
In
too?
this one. In this image I'm looking
They do all kinds of things that you don't even want to know, Angela. It's quite frightening out there in the Aussie
Ah,
bushlands.
my
at.
God. I shit. I am terrified
I have seen
and turned
huntsmen.
on.
I Too much monster smut for you.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Like drop
true.
bear sounds
Has that been
okay.
written yet? It's possible. Oh
Melanie,
no.
get on it. Some drop bear
Something by
smut.
the drop bear.
You know what? I'm gonna do it.
Ravaged by the drop bear.
Ravaged by the drop bear.
Girl, that's gonna be my next little smut anthology piece.
That would be fun. You'd be a shifter. You shifter the dream.
Oh, a shifter drop bear. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we've learned enough about Australia for the
We
day.
have.
Yeah, you're good.
Heather,
Thank you.
we want to know a little bit about you as well. Let's start off with a little get to know you question, which is what is the strangest thing you own?
I have a little stuffed jelly cat of a French pastry that I love, and that was a gift from a friend.
I
So,
love wait,
there-
what's a jelly
Yeah, I
cat?
need
oh
more.
my gosh, where are you from? They're like the it's a brand of like stuffies of little
Ah,
plushies,
Ah,
and they're like super hot right now, and people so like I don't know, like it'll be like a stuffed like fish and chips or like a stuffed like avocado or just like anything, but they're very like bougie, and
oh.
people like adults collect them because they're bougie, and I have them. I've gotten gifts of them, so
So bougie of you. So bougie
not
of you to have
I
them.
inherited the bougie was thrust upon me. I did not go seeking it out, but they're very cute. But yeah,
are they
Okay.
like the beanie friends? Like they're
I
full of
will I
Beanie
will
beans.
babies.
provide visual. They're full of
I
beans.
absolutely want a visual.
Provided.
I want to know
So
what is the bougie plushie?
I have two.
We,
I've
we
been
need to
Love it.
get
given
on
two.
this. Let's
So
see.
Mm.
Let's see.
this is the
Aw.
little villages au chocolat,
Oh, that's
little
very
pastry.
cute.
And then my friend, I got a star from Publishers Weekly, and my friend sent me a little star.
That is
I
adorable.
know. And so,
Aw.
like Beanie Babies, I guess I kept the tag on. It says, "I am
Okay.
a musable star. Please look after me." And I'm
That's
like, yeah.
adorable. You
Yeah.
bougie bitch. You've got
Yes.
the bougie goods. She is
So
here.
that's like the weirdest thing I have. And I have some like stays, like corsets that I wore to my launch because it's cute.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
You should just be wearing them all the time.
I know I was like, I actually requested that people dress up fancy for my launch event because I was like, you don't really get many excuses to dress for fun.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. I
mhm.
know Melanie's all about it. I'm a bit more of a lazy dresser
Mm.
upper, but I
I'm
know if you
very
give
much so.
Melanie a challenge, she's coming in hot.
I love
Love
any
She's
it.
got it.
excuse
Yeah.
to dress up because when I'm at home, I'm literally like in a t-shirt and like stained trackies. So I love
Yep.
an excuse to dress up. I've gone on a side quest and I need to know more about corsets. I'm quite fascinated
Hmm.
by them. So you have
Yes.
several. It's like a collection type.
I've got two. I've
You got
got
two.
two, and they are from the House of Bezos.
Ooh. Okay, because like I hear the whole culture with corsets, like when you do it, are you going like Titanic, like Rose, the foot up and tightening the strings situation? Or is it
Oh
like
man,
we've progressed from that? Or people still do that?
I've got like a soapbox. My friend. So like my books are very historic based.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole like discourse in the historical costuming community about how like corsets are not supposed to be painful and they're not supposed to be tight-laced unless it's like a
Mm.
very small period in the Victorian era. Um, but like it's become like a bad cliche that people like tight make them so tight, and to the point where like people like roll their eyes like in Bridgerton, like that's not how that's supposed to go. It doesn't work that way. They wouldn't have looked that way in that time period.
Mm.
But my rule of thumb with corsets in like books and stuff is it's like it's supposed to be like a good bra. So like ideally it like supports you, but it's not like so noticeable that like you are actively in pain throughout the day or like bothered by it all day. And also I use that rule for when I'm writing about historical costuming, like as much as my character would mention their bra is about
Ooh.
as often as I would mention a corset. So
Mhm.
yeah, my the book that just came out is in like the 1660s. So they would have worn stays, which have kind of like a
Mm.
cone shape. Because back then, instead of the sexy hourglass, they're like, ooh, she looks like a cone.
Give us a
That's what they're
cone. Yeah, why not?
give us a cone.
She's a little
Give us
ice
a cone.
cream just waiting to be consumed.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, the ones I have, it has like a zipper on the side, and then yeah, I had them laced up in the back. But it felt really nice, like my shoulders went back.
Ooh.
So it was not. I did, but I had my friend. I was like, "Will you be my maid of honor for my book launch?" I was like, "I need someone to lace me up." So
I
Oh my
love
yeah,
it.
it
gosh,
was
I
fun.
love that.
Mhm.
I knew you'd have a
Yeah.
detailed
Yay!
answer. I was like,
I was like, I've been waiting
Yes.
my whole life.
Yes. I've gotten Gretchen, I can never remember her last name.
Yes,
Gretchen, she's been on our show.
Schreiber,
Yes.
Schreiber, Schreiber.
Yeah. I've had a very at length conversation about this. You ask her about costumes, she's going to tell you she knows
Yes.
the history. And that was one of the things that she said as well, which
Mhm.
fascinated me because, you think of Pirates of the Caribbean, where she's like, and then she faints, and it's not
That's
accurate.
wrong.
It's not
That's
right.
wrong too. It's wrong too. But I have a blast. I have that movie is so fun. I watched it recently, and like Elizabeth's such a great character. I
Yeah,
was thinking
yeah,
about how like her strength is that she's like a pirate fangirl, and then she gets to use that knowledge throughout the story. And I was like,
yes.
look at them doing writing, doing a good job.
That movie killed
Yeah.
it, honestly. I
It's
freaking
so
love that movie.
good. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
expectations were so low because it was like based on a Disney ride. And they're like,
Yeah.
what could they possibly do? And I'm like, change the world. That's what they did.
Period.
Hmm.
Period. Changed us
Hmm.
all for the better. Yes. Well, let's get in a little bit to your writing as well. Like, did you know you always wanted to be a writer? Like, what was the start for you?
I started writing when I was 12. And then kind of my formative writing experience when I was about 14, I was writing Twilight fan fiction novels. And they were in a Coldplay cover band and they traveled the world. Um, and my friends would like read over my shoulder at the lunch table and like ask me to write faster, and they would like pass around my notebooks and stuff. It was super cute. So I have always been a big fantasy girly. I've loved writing. And then when I was like 17 or 18, I followed Kira Cass on YouTube because she was a Twilight YouTuber at the time. And I was following her for that. And she shared her publishing journey. And watching her success, she wrote the selection series. Watching her success inspired me and really made me want to pursue it as a career.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that that she was kind of the like inspiration too, because the selection series was so good. I freaking love that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Here for it.
Yes.
So you've always known you wanted to be a writer. How did you get to where you are today? Like, take us on your publishing journey
Hmm.
adventure.
So, I have written many, many novels of varying quality. Um, and then I started querying a book when I was a freshman in college. That one didn't work out. And then I just kept going. Back in the day when pitch contests were a thing, my pitch for FlowerHeart kind of got some traction. I queried some agents through that. It took about a year of querying. I got my first agent, and she was great. She was like, I really loved FlowerHeart, but I don't know if this could be your debut because the market is so competitive right now and it's hard for
Hmm.
YA. Also because cozy fantasy did not exist at the time. And I was like, I wrote a middle grade. Do you want to read that? And she's like, okay, I'll check it out. And she read it in like a few hours, and we had our agent call. And so she took out We Are the Song on submission, and that became my first book. And then ended up with a different agent, same agency, who huge Flowerheart fan. She's such an advocate for me. Her name's Jordan. She's awesome. So then Flowerheart got published in 2022. And again, I had gotten a lot of feedback from agents at the time that were like, this book is not dark enough. This book is not steamy enough, which is like fine and good and fair. Not what Flowerheart was trying to be, because there just was not a place in the market for that. And then it came out right with like Legends and Lattes and like all the other cozy fantasy stuff. So it just hit the market at the right time. And then my latest book, Where Shadows Bloom, came out last week, February 2025. So, and I'm working on many other things.
Oh, I like the sound of many. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, there's a lot.
Mm. Do you think,
hmm
is there something that's like surprised you about the publishing industry through all of this?
I was very fortunate to very, very early in the process, right when I was querying, I sent out a tweet into the ether back when Twitter was an okay place. And I was like, I'm gonna start querying. Does anyone want to join like a complaining group with me, a support group? And so my support group, we like so many of them are published now or like bestsellers, and like so having people with me from the beginning to be like, oh, this agent was really bad, or like I trust this agent, or to share the publishing highs and lows with me, made it such that I was really mentally prepared for all the shenanigans. The I think one of the most difficult things is like, and this is really like real talk, but just like how hard it is to be adequately compensated for your work in this industry. Plus the this is very nitty gritty, but like healthcare stuff in America,
Mm.
especially like we can't. You normally you'd get healthcare like through your job, not the case with writing. So
Really?
yes, so I have to pay extra. So I have to
Good
pay for that
Lord.
outside, because I mean other people like will can get it through their spouse, for example. But it's just me.
Oh
So
my
it
God.
is.
Sorry to like interject, but I just heard yesterday that because I've been watching this Mr. Beast thing, and I just heard that like the guy who won the 10 million, he apparently got taxed like half of it. Because my husband was like,
Yeah.
so he's like, how much did you expect him to walk home with winning 10 million? I was like, 10 million? Because in Australia, we have an exemption on prize money. You don't get taxed. You walk away with what you
Dang.
won because that's what you won. I'm still
Yeah.
reeling from this. So come on, America, let your citizens win their
No.
damn prize money
No.
and have their
That happens
fucking
like
health care.
oh my gosh, people joke about that with like the lottery, for example. They're like, well, you won't actually,
That's
win that
wild to
whatever.
me. It
hmm
actually like is heartbreaking because yeah, like if he only anyway, that's a side quest. I'm not going to go down that side quest, but yes.
No,
Oh my God, I'm
it's a
sorry.
very silly place. It's a very silly place. But
Yes, we live in a
yeah,
silly, zany world over
it's a
here.
silly little place. But yeah, so trying to figure out, and like, I have had a full-time job while doing this, and I've had a part-time job while doing this, and I might go back and forth with that. Because we're expected to like meet our deadlines, and
Mm,
like it is full-time work, but
mm,
the payment schedule can be a little bit wacky.
Yeah.
Which is, and it's also hard because it's like I'm so grateful, and there's like this is a very, very special thing. Um, I yeah, and the other side of that coin is like people who get like 6 and 7 figure deals have immense pressure upon them and have like expectations.
mm.
So it's like you will end up in your therapist's office regardless of what happens. So
I'm
Yeah.
hugging you so hard through the screen. Thank you for being
thank
like,
you.
we just love these conversations where we're just real about it all because it really is this like weird dance between I'm so grateful, but also I need therapy from this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was in therapy back in the querying days, and
Mm,
that's another thing that authors talk about. They're like, you will always find another thing to be anxious about. You'll always find another thing to compare yourself to.
Oh
Mm,
my
And
gosh,
it's
yes.
it's just very hard. It's like you have to decide what you can do for your own mental health because there's only so much you can control. And so like sometimes making a social media post so it feels like you're not shouting into the void can help,
mm,
which is how I try to approach social media is like this is me, like I'm either doing this because this is funny to me or because it will make me feel slightly better. But
Hmm.
I've never had except for like a promo with a retailer, I've never had my publisher be like, you need to make X amount of posts a day or whatever.
mm.
Um, so if anyone is afraid of like, I don't have enough followers on social media, like no, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. So, and also if you're querying, I know some people were like, do I have to have a website before I get an agent? It's like, no, I don't care. It's fine.
Mm.
Baby
Mhm.
steps, baby steps.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea of like taking control because you really don't have control over just about everything. So like finding
Mhm.
the things that you can and being proactive with it, it does help.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, writing is such a, or being an author is such like
Mhm.
a mind fuck in so many ways. And
Mhm.
it's interesting because, and I just had this conversation with Armando, my partner, because like we do the podcast.
Mhm.
I've been traveling a lot for different like book cons,
Yeah.
and I've been lucky enough that for the book cons, like my publisher will send me or the cons
Yeah.
themselves. Otherwise, I'm not going because I don't want to
Yeah.
pay stuff.
Yeah.
But it is your time, so you're
Mhm.
like giving your time out for free,
Mhm.
And he
Mhm.
was asking like, why are you doing all of these things? Like, why don't
Mhm.
you, you don't have to do all of these things. And the truth of it is, I was like, well, I love it too. Like
Yeah.
it was a hobby before all of this. Like bookish
Mhm.
things were the thing that made me happy. And so
Yep.
now it's this weird mixture of but I also want to get paid, but I would do it anyway. So it's like
Yeah.
this weird
Yeah.
ass thing.
It's very weird. I mean, we're turning your art into like commercialism is
Yeah.
is a weird thing. And turning into like, oh, my, if not my entire survival, a big chunk of my survival is dependent upon my performance. But then also there's this big, mystery element of like the industry itself and like marketing and things that you have no control over. But, you're like, well, I want my book to succeed, but I can't really do very much. So it's hard. And like just the basic truth that like it's not a meritocracy. Like you can work your butt off and just like it's there's the luck element is frustrating because I mean we all inside are like, well, everyone should be treated the same. Everyone should be treated fairly. We all put in our hard work, but just like the compensation and everything. I'm not being like I'm not trying to be like bitter, bitter, bitter because I'm really not. And like publishing really makes people jaded. And I think the good parts of like the people that you meet along the way, getting to share your book with readers and like knowing that it actually like means something to them, and watching your friends succeed is so,
Mhm.
so, so rewarding. So it's yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like everybody has parts of their job that frustrate them. And I think it's
Yeah.
it's good to be a little bit salty. Especially like, us we're part of a system.
Mhm.
We live in a society. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
hard.
and I think it's like so necessary to have those days where we like give ourselves permission to like feel angry, feel sad, feel
Hmm.
whatever it is. I think those
Hmm.
days are important too, but like you're so right as well. Like it's also, well, both of you, like it's also the thing we love. It's also we're so lucky to do it.
Yes.
It can be, that's what I'm realizing. It can be both with most things. Like even if like I love my apartment where I live right now. It's perfect. Like it's my dream apartment, but
Hmm.
there will be days when I literally hate everything. Everything feels like it's going wrong. It all crashes down on you
Hmm.
suddenly. And I think it's the same with anything. Like, even if you love something, there's these elements that are hard, and it's okay for us to be like, well, this is fucked. And like, it's
Yeah.
okay that I have feelings about this. And then the next day,
Hmm.
like, oh my God, how could I even think that? I'm so lucky to do this. And then the
Yeah.
next day, you're like, I
Yeah.
hate this. I haven't made a cent. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
part of it, I think.
Yeah. And that's what's
Yeah.
so great about having community. Like when you were
Hmm.
querying, like
Mm.
somebody to bitch to and
Yep.
Yeah.
somebody that's been there and that can offer
Hmm.
advice.
Hmm.
We get off often asked as writers, like, oh, what's your advice? And that truly is this. I say the
Hmm.
same thing every time. It's like, find your
Hmm.
community.
Mm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a huge community, but find the few people that you trust that are you could bitch to
Yes.
or help boost you up, hold your hand, whatever it
Hmm.
is. You need that that
And it helps,
system.
yeah, it helps with the perspective too, because like I my little bit is that, it's like you say the grass is greener on the other side, and then you look at your friend and they don't have any grass at all. It's like you have some things, you've been given some opportunities that other people haven't, and other people are going to have it better than you. I see that like in my own like my own like publishing season, I'll be like, oh well, this person got this honor, or this person got promoted in this way, and then I'll look at someone else and be like, I don't see any ads or anything for their stuff. So
Mm.
like you just have to be grateful, and boost each other up as much as you can. Um,
That's it.
yeah.
Oh, yes. I love that. Boost each other as much as you can.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of boosting, I do want to talk about Where Shadows Bloom because that
Yay.
book, well, I've been a mega fan of yours since Flowerheart
Me too.
because it is like, I don't even know how to explain it. It is just like heaven on earth as you're reading it. It's just this
Yay.
beautiful, like soft and magical story. And I was just like enraptured. And Where Shadows Bloom is just as good and beautiful and amazing. And I was so, so excited to read it. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much. It is a book about a young noblewoman named Ophelia and her lady knight named Lope, and they have to travel to a Versailles-inspired palace and fight these shadow monsters in order to find Ophelia's mother and unlock some dark secrets about their immortal king and the gods of their world and all these shadows of the past going on. Also, there's lots of pining.
Oh my God.
Lots of
Give us a
pining.
pining.
We have a lady knight who is pining.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What
Yes.
inspired you to write this particular book?
So I am in college, I was a Spanish major and a French minor. And I lived in Seville for a month. And then after college, I lived in Orléans, France, as an English teacher. And that was so much fun. And that's the city where Joan of Arc hung out for a while. And so got the Lady Night vibes going on there. Um, love the pining and the angst and the yearning of Orpheus and Eurydice. Um, but I did a little bit of a twist on that story because there's a trope often of like bury your gays, where like the gay characters always will end up dead in the end, and they do not in this one. Everything is fine. They are fine in the end. But the pining of like my beloved is in a completely different universe. And also Kingdom Hearts was a game that I really loved as a child, and there's shadow monsters in that and fighting with like swords and power friendship and stuff. So big
Oh my
soup of all the
gosh.
things that I love.
It is. It's got all the things. It's so freaking good. And it's beautiful too. There's just something about your writing, your prose. It's stunning. It's so good.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there anything you wish readers knew like before they even started reading this book?
It's slightly darker than Flowerheart. I really tried to be edgy. I tried. So, some people will be like, this is a cozy fantasy. I'm like, I don't know about that one, champ. But like, because they're like shadow monsters and swords and fighting and like lots and lots of lies and propaganda and people who've gone missing. So it's just like expectations. It's a little bit darker, but there will be a happy ending. And all of my writing is very like fairy tale and like Disney inspired. So like this is a safe place. It's also a queer affirming world, so it is like in the 17th century, but in my world, people don't care if you're gay. So because I get to make the rules. So
Oh my
so
gosh.
there's some danger, but it's a safe, happy place at the end of the day.
Okay, I can't wait to read now. Angela's actually sent me a copy of your book. It sounds like right up my alley. Like, I'm very here for a
Yes.
night. The original title of the book
Yeah.
I have out on sub at the moment was The Knight in Rusted Armor. So I'm
Yes.
very here for a night, very here for all the vibes you are saying. I
Yes.
am I'm pulling it off the shelf now so I don't forget.
Thanks. Yes, I love the pitch figures. I remember seeing your art and stuff. I'm excited.
Ooh,
Yeah. Oh,
I
the
was gonna
art.
cross my
Ah!
Oh, she got
fingers.
so excited. She
I got
almost
so
knocked her
excited I knocked
camera.
my mic. I was putting good vibes for sub.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Sub sub is scary. Querying is worse, but sub
I think
sub is
you're
bad.
right. Like, even though I want to hate on subs so much, there's something about knowing you have like an agent that believes in your story already that makes you feel like a
Mhm.
sense of calm. Querying is so like you're
Yeah.
just in this sea of like void, just like void.
Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, it really feel for maybe I'm just very existential, but I was like, will my dream never come true? And it's like, is my hope useless? And again, very like spiritual and existential. I'm like, why did God put this desire in my heart to be an author if this was not going to come true? Am I just supposed to be like a tortured person forever? Um, so yeah, I think once you have, I mean, the hurdle of getting an agent is so intense.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and asterisk that like it takes a long time, and also asterisk that like many authors end up moving on to another agent, and that's
Mm.
totally fine and normal. But just to kind of like reassert that like if you're querying, if you're listening and you're querying, it's awful, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
It really is
same.
that bad.
I don't wish
Yes.
that hell on anyone because it's exactly like you said. It's like you have this like urgency, this big, bountiful dream, and like, yeah, you keep like sending it out there. So we're just hugging all our queering authors because we know it's a
Yeah,
very special kind of hell. Would you say that was the
Mhm.
hardest part of the journey so far?
absolutely, definitely. And
Mm.
also like maybe I'm too much of an optimist, but here's my tiny soapbox. I firmly believe it takes a lot for a book to die. So like
Mm.
I have a backlog of like 20 books because I've been doing this for a very long time. And while I was querying Flowerheart, I was writing Where Shadows Bloom. And while Where Shadows Bloom was in my editor's inbox, I was writing another book. And once you have your agent, my agent signed me for We Are the Song, and then Flowerheart was like in the back, but we got to bring it out. Or I have all these old books of mine now that I can either bring to my agent and be like, is there hope for this? Or we can retool it, or I can give it to my editor. I think and even if a book is on sub for a really, really, really long time, one, I know people who have gotten book deals after like 2 years on sub. It
Wow.
happens. Two, like I feel like life is long and there's so many
Yeah.
ways for a story to like be revised, or like a new editor will like join the field, or like a new imprint will exist and suddenly there will be a space for a story like that. Or also with like the way self-publishing has evolved, like there's like like you were reading your airplane romance novel, like there is a there's something for everyone. So
Yes. Yeah.
just
And
feel
yeah,
like
there's
there's
different
more hope.
outlets now.
Hmm.
Yes. Oh my God. I
Hmm.
love that. I freaking
Hmm.
love that.
Yeah,
I
so
love you as well.
I thank you. I love you too. But like so I really do have my like my pity parties, and I'm like, this story will never see the light of day. But like I I tell myself that I'm like, it takes a lot for a book to be killed dead.
Mm.
So
Oh.
but also like, yeah, querying was worse than some.
Mm.
But it was better to have friends with me, to like celebrate my tiny wins, and also to help ground me and help me like look at the different agents and find good. Also, it helps with getting your query letter polished and having people look at your pages and stuff.
Heck freaking yes.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I see we're down to 3 minutes on our
Yes.
little timer here.
Hmm.
I want to ask our favorite question, which is like looking back at all you've accomplished, what advice would you give a younger version of yourself before you started this journey?
I would tell her to keep writing and keep writing her weird stuff because people are okay with that. Um, I when
Yes.
I wrote Where Shadows Bloom, I wrote it in this like kind of like France and Spain squished together because I was like, I like those things and I don't have an agent, so I can write whatever I want. And then suddenly I have an editor and I'm like, well, she's going to tell me to change this because it's weird. And she's like, no, I like it.
Yes.
Mm,
So you can just write the weird thing. And yeah, find your community and keep writing. Take breaks, rest. You don't have to be a machine,
mm.
but you got to find the joy in writing and you can't lose that.
Thank
That's
you.
it. That's the sauce right there.
That's the sauce
So
right there.
good.
Well, since you have 2 minutes left, how do you fill your creative well and recharge?
Lots of whining to my friends. There's so many.
That's
I'll have like
facts.
I mean like I will have like fallow seasons. There are times where I'm like, I have no ideas. I will never write again. This is awful. And then I have my friends who are like, Catherine, you're having emotions. It is fine. And watching movies that I love. Um, just like refilling the well. I do since I write YA in middle grade, I do kind of try to reach back into like what made my brain happy in childhood and
Mm,
why was that? And then also when I write kidlit in general, I try to write for my younger self. And so that's kind of how I figure out the theme of whatever I'm working on. So it's like, what did baby cat need to hear about?
mm,
So yeah, and then also reading new things. I read a lot of graphic novels because they're fast and you get the story, but they go by fast. And yeah, just also if you read something fun and you loved it, I tell the author. I'll go reach out to the office TM and be like, I love this so much. Because I think
Yes.
we all run on words of affirmation.
Right.
So yeah.
Please.
Hmm.
Yeah. Please tell the author. Please make their
Hmm.
day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, well, our time is completed. It is about to run out. Thank you so much for joining us. You really are so amazing, so spectacular, and so
Oh,
talented. So congratulations on everything.
thank you so much. I'm sorry I wasted a lot of time talking about Australia. I got excited.
I got excited too. Hey, it was fun for me.
It was great.
And it'll be fun for Angela to research drop bears. Thank you for bringing them
Hmm.
Oh,
I look
yes.
forward to this.
Oh my gosh, I am on it right now. Yes.
up.
Great.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Catherine.